Everyone, I'm Mr. Poirier, Director of Sixth Form. I've got the pleasure of welcoming back some of our Year 13 students from last year. It was a delight to work with them last year. And the prizes are as follows. The Matthew Hanlon Prize for Good Progress and Achievement goes to Nicholas Loosley. He's currently studying Geography at Greenbelt Class, but he can't be here this evening. Round of applause. The Morals Prize for Achievement for A-Level goes to Benedict Clements, currently studying Engineering at Warwick. The Elizabeth Ford Prize for Achievement at A-Level goes to Tulad Alam, currently reading Architecture at Greenwich. The David Mason Prize for Achievement at A-Level goes to Alex Jessup, currently reading Economics at Manchester. The T.N. Bevan Prize for Achievement at A-Level goes to Ashley Tomby, currently reading Engineering at Manchester. The Edwin Sloan Prize for Business goes to Edwin Frimpong. He can't be with us this evening, but he's reading Business Management at Kent. The Pilot Officer Bowman Prize for Achievement at A-Level goes to Richard Waller, currently reading Neuroscience at Cardiff. He also can't be with us this evening. The Franklin Prize for Achievement at A-Level goes to Andrew Georgiou. He's reading Media and Communication at Goldsmith. He also can't be with us this evening. The David Shelford Prize for Achievement at A-Level goes to Mitchell Magona. He was due to be with us, but he missed his bus in Manchester and he's reading Geography. The Simon Taverner Prize for Creative Writing goes to Brandon Wendels. He's reading English Literature, East Anglia. He also can't be with us this evening. The Dr. R.E.G. Cowley Prize for Achievement goes to Nishan Chowand. He also can't be with us this evening. He's reading Accounting Finance at Kent. Sean Stewart with us, who wins the L. Burkett Marshall Prize for English Literature, and he's reading Law at Bristol. Business goes to Darnell Frimpong, currently reading Economics at Kent. The Edwin Eagles Prize for Outstanding A-Level Results goes to Matthew Silcox, currently reading Physics at Manchester. History of Government and Politics goes to Dennis Gazelle, currently reading Law also at Bristol. The Science Subjects goes to Ali Al-Gabai, currently reading Pharmacy at UCL. The Prize for PE goes to Charlie Wade Rears. Unfortunately, he can't come back. He's studying physiotherapy in Amsterdam. The George Prize for Best All-Round Sportsman goes to Owen Perks, currently reading Engineering at Cambridge University. Daniel Hook, currently reading Physical Education at Liverpool John Moores. The Professor McDonald Prize for Science goes to Henry Phillips, currently reading Material Science and Engineering, also at Manchester. The Jamie Stevens. He was reading Computer Science at Leeds. Unfortunately, Jamie can't be with us this evening. The Lorraine Sparks Prize for Endeavour and Commitment goes to Alex Foster, who's currently in a gap year from Portsmouth University. The Warwick Prize for Character and Resilience goes to Charlie White, who's currently reading Electronical Engineering with Foundation at Westminster. Prize for Mathematics and Outstanding A-level Results goes to Alexander Ali, currently reading Discrete Maths at Warwick. And finally, Old Boy, the Old Park Prize endowed by the late Edward Ford Esquire and awarded for good influence throughout the school. It gives me great pleasure to announce Ben Conway, currently reading an art application.
So, good evening Enfield Grammar. No, I think it should be a better voice than that. Good evening Enfield Grammar. Well, you can imagine when I saw that pile of books there, and I realised I was the person who was going to shake all those hands, I was a bit daunted. However, it struck me that it done me a favour. Number one, I won't have to go to Waterstones on Sunday to see what's on the shelves. Number two, we often talk about diversity in our world, and one thing that struck me about those books, there were virtually no book the same. A testimony to the diversity of the imagination, diversity amongst each of us, that each of us has something special that we want and something special we can give. So that's the lesson I'm going to take away from this evening. Tant que je puis, as much as I can. Does that mean as much as I'm capable of, as much as I might do, as much as I will do? What lies at the heart of this kind of school motto, tant que je puis? I want to talk today a little bit about fairness and fame. Fame because it's partly why I get invited to places like this, having been on the BBC for the best part of 2.5 decades. But also, fame raises expectations. Expectations people have of you. In the same way as people who win prizes are successful at school. The community raises expectations of you too, and within your community, expectations are raised of you, particularly those who are still at school. Fairness, because it's a value we all expect in life, but which you often have to work very hard to achieve. Fame, of course, is based on what people say about you, a fair reputation, what people think about you. So, ask yourself this: is it better to be famous and useless, or useful and not famous at all? How many of you, hands up over here, know somebody who's famous and utterly useless? Exactly. So, what about this fellow Professor Barling? Professor Kurt Barling. Actually, lots of people often stop me in the street and say, "What about that fellow George Alagaya?" Tell them, no, I'm not actually, but I know him very well. It's been a long journey for me over the past 30 years, starting off as I did at Southgate School, as the head told you, head boy in 1979. I was elected by my fellow students because they believed I was a person of action. I wouldn't just say, I would do. And it's something I've tried to keep doing throughout my life, throughout my working life. I left school at 18, armed with some modest A-levels, I have to admit. My ambition at that point was to be an actor. I was part of the National Youth Theatre, but soon decided that that wasn't the kind of professional work or lifestyle that I wanted. After the first year at the National Youth Hall, we all seemed to be friends, and I went to university and all the others went to drama school, and they came back and everyone was kissing each other, darling each other, and I thought, no, that's just not for me. University refocused my ambition. I thought, well, you know, television journalism would be quite a good mix between my performing instincts and my intellectual interests. But getting there was hard work. Now, this is the part of my speech where you get to join in, because then I know you haven't fallen asleep. So, Enfield grammarians, say after me, the only place success comes before work.
The only place success comes before work.
That's just what I want you to know, because if we're going to do it, we've got to mean it. So, the only place success comes before work is in the Oxford English Dictionary. After graduating, eventually with 3 degrees, that's not the pop group, that's a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, and yes, a PhD. Why? Because they kept throwing money at me. I wrote over 100 letters to people. I wanted still to be a journalist. And I was lucky. It happened in 1989. I noticed from those books there are some real historians here. So the historians here, what happened in 1989? Well done, Berlin Wall. It just so happens, 2 weeks after I joined the BBC, I found myself in a department where there were no other German speakers but myself. Kurt is a clue. And I was dispatched off to the Berlin Wall. I used my knowledge of Germany and German to tell people here about what was going on beyond the wall. It was the first ever film made by a Western filmmaker behind the Berlin Wall in that November of 1989. It was a big start to my career. It meant that I had to learn how to operate in an unpredictable environment. I had to marshal my talents carefully. I had to guard against complacency, something that all of you will have to do. So, say, I will not subscribe to a culture of entitlement.
I will not subscribe to
but I am entitled to share my talent. My talent is no burden. Privilege should be. So what does this mean? That is the question. It means that abandoning a might happen complex, how many of you have that now and again, and adopting a can-do complex. In the course of my career, over those 3 decades, I've had to learn to take risks, working on everything from short pieces of radio to 90-minute documentaries, across a whole range of programs. Some of you will know, like Panorama, Moneybox, BBC News, sometimes, as the head teacher told you, undercover. And it was sometimes very dangerous work. At one point, when my wife was pregnant with my 3rd child, I found myself in the outskirts of Africa's largest city, Lagos. And I was held up by soldiers at a checkpoint late at night. And my researcher who was there with me, I realised we were in danger when I heard him muttering to himself, "I don't want to die." and he just kept saying, "I don't want to die." So eventually I was saying to myself, "I don't want to die either." This soldier decided to take an AK-47. I don't know if you boys know what an AK-47 is. It's a pretty potent rifle. They took the safety catch off, pointed at my head, and my life flashed before me. I was a very ambitious young man, but I had a wife, 2 children, and one on the way at home. I had to refocus my ambition. I decided at that point this was not a good place to be. I had to change my journey, something that you will have to do as you go through your life. I had to prioritise my needs and my family's needs. You might say that I needed to be alive and useful rather than very famous but very dead. I turned, as some of you will know, to my home city for inspiration at a very tough time in world events. I became the special correspondent for BBC London News the day after 9/11, when suicide bombers flew into the Twin Towers. It became a difficult job at a difficult time. I took on some of the toughest stories, met some of the toughest people, interviewed people who were eventually convicted for terrorism, but a whole range of other stories, including the victims of such terrorism. One of the most important assets, I would say, that kept me going and which will keep you going was resilience. You have to be resilient. So, say, resilience breeds endurance. Yeah, feeling, guys, come on. Resilience breeds endurance. Endurance builds character. Character shapes intellect. Intellect delivers ideas. Guess what? Ideas make change happen. So to learn how to get up when you've been knocked down is one of the most important ingredients for success beyond sheer talent. And there's been plenty of talent on display here this evening. It is, by the way you make your own luck. And it's now that you all must learn never to be afraid to be too proud to ask for help, because that is also how you make your own luck. This is all about taking responsibility for your own journey, but recognising you need the support of others, parents, teachers, family, friends. So, taking responsibility for my journey. Now this guy in the middle here, you need to, tell them how to do it. Taking responsibility for my journey. and how I will conduct myself requires a winning mentality. That's it. It's now you must start taking leadership for your own direction seriously. It's now with your prizes in tow that you can recognise that being part of a team, part of strong communities, that you can achieve more than you would on your own. I want to finish off my remarks today with a sporting analogy. Not because I knew what the head was going to say, but I guessed he might. I've seen over the years at Enfield Grammar an amazing amount of sporting achievement. And I know it matters a lot to the school. It's produced many champions, not just the ones that we talked about from last year, but when I was a runner, I did beat the Enfield Grammar boy, by the way, in the championships, even if we lost 10-0 in the autumn football. But it produced many champions. But just imagine that Enfield Grammar sports teams always began each match with a handicap. So let's say at the start of a football match against Southgate, you started, let's put it conservatively, at 11 goals down. Or let's say 30 points down against Latimer in the rugby. Or even making your 100-metre champion start at the 120-metre mark. Ridiculous, right? Unfair, right? Even a touch of cheating about it? And no one really likes to cheat, huh? Well, let me report here to you that life can be a bit like that beyond school, with all these other people seemingly with advantages that you might feel you don't have. But let me tell you, the secret of my philosophy, you have to be in it to win it. So, here's your last chance to be in full voice, grammarians. Wherever there's a level playing field, and the goals are clear, and the rules are open and transparent, and the referee is fair, I can make it. I can make it. Now, with your exam success and the confidence that comes with winning prizes, you are levelling that playing field of life. This will help you make something of your lives. I'll end with a twist on your school motto. Tant que je puis pour faire le change, as much as I can to make a difference. Thank you for listening.
I'm George and this is Alex, and we are the current head boys of Enfield Grammar School. Firstly, we'd like to congratulate all the boys that are here tonight for all their hard work last year, which has highlighted them out from the rest of their classes to be here and receive an award for their efforts. Not only this, but I'd like to congratulate those boys, parents and a few staff whose eyes I saw wandering for not resorting to playing games in their time. When we found out that we had to deliver this speech as one of our last duties as head boy, I'll be honest, we didn't really know where to start. So we thought the best idea would be to talk to other teachers and students that have previously been here tonight. We were told by the pupils that they don't really listen to the speeches or remember them, so don't worry boys, we'll keep this short. And we were told by the staff that we should make as many jokes about the teachers as we can. So here it goes. We thought the best way to deliver our speech tonight was to go through our journey from year 7 to 13, and the best memories we've had at this school.
Year 7. This was a big year for all of us. I was coming from a small school in which only one other person decided to come to Enfield Grammar. I had 2 older brothers already in the school, and you would think this would be a good thing. but I soon learned to limit my encounters with them and their friends on the pathway. The only advantage was that they did warn me about specific teachers, and to always check your top button and your 4 double stripes before approaching them, Mr. Groves being one of them. So as you can imagine, on my first day, my uniform was immaculate. Well, at least until break time. Whilst I was waiting in the queue for my class to be called, I started wondering who Mr. Groves was. Then, I saw a boy in the year above me, hiding behind the year 7s from a teacher standing on the steps, trying to change his shoes as quickly as possible. I soon realised who Mr. Groves was. Year 7 flew by for me. I started to actually know where the rooms were in the lower school, and I got really good at speed walking, as obviously you weren't allowed to run in the corridors. Well, with the exception of tuck, and to reserve your place on the padball wall. But if Mr. Groves was waiting around the corner at the bottom of the stairs, you might as well take your conduct card out straight away. And for the parents, if you were wondering, as my mum was, why your son is so much better behaved at school than at home, then merit marks is the answer.
Year 8 is a year where I started to become more confident in myself at this school. I think this was really helped by the ski trip that my year went on. I think one of the best things about year 8 was feeling more important. And often you'd see yourself laughing at the new year 7s at all the times they used to forget where their classes were or get lost. Obviously this was before helping them find their class. Don't worry Mr. Kerr, we wouldn't just stand there and laugh. And smile. I think one of my favourite things about this year was being able to go out in front of the year 7s at lunch. It just made you feel like you were the more important one. So as you can tell, when we moved from the lower to upper in year 9, we were in for a bit of a shock. It suddenly felt like we was back in year 7. We didn't know where any of the rooms were, and now there was even more rooms to worry about. I remember everyone having high expectations for year 9, as we thought we was finally away from Mr. Groves, so we could get away with more things. This was before we met Mr. Smith and Mr. Gurney. Now boys, before you think you can get away with not having your tie done up, etc., Mr. Smith used to be a pupil at this school, so he knows every trick. And I mean every trick. It never failed to amaze me how he'd always turn up and catch you in the act. Don't worry Mr. Kearney, we haven't forgot about you. Before finding out Mr. Kearney would be our head of year, he was my history teacher. And all I remember from the first lesson was I was standing up for the whole lesson, and every 5 minutes he would walk in, not say anything, and just nod at us all. This continued for the whole lesson until finally the bell went and the sir told us we can go. Now some of you boys might think having him for history is bad enough. We had him as a head of year for 4 years.
Year 10 and 11, these are the years for GCSE. Now I know we were told to make jokes about staff, but during these years the amount of support we got from the staff in order to achieve what we were capable of was unbelievable. However, these years weren't all about hard work, as I had some of my best times during the sport inter-house competitions, even though we never actually won. But we never lost sight of the exam day, thanks to Mr. Kearney's daily countdown, which I'm sure he started the moment we entered the school. Year 12, this is the first year of sixth form. We saw some changes, such as a new head sixth form, Mr. P. For those of you that don't know him, he's a tall northerner that always wears shorts, even in winter. The first time we met Mr. P, we were all in the common room at lunch. Instead of introducing himself to us as a new head of sixth form, he decided to take some chips from a few boys and just shout, "You're right, lads." So a word of advice is that if you have food, hide it from Mr. P. Now, although it does seem like he just wants to laugh, he had a serious side when exams came. Although we didn't have to count down this year, we had the same, if not more support than we did for our GCSEs. Year 12 was also the year that George and I were appointed head boys. This is something we are extremely proud of.
So all jokes aside, I'd like to thank all the staff for the faith they had in both of us to do this job, as well as the support they gave us in our subjects. The same support which has meant that these boys here tonight could thrive in their subjects. I'd also like to thank Miss Jeffrey for all her hard work and almost being like our school mum and making sure we're in the right place at the right time. And finally, a very special thank you to Mr. Kerr for giving myself and Alex the opportunity of being joint head boy at Enfield Grammar School, especially as we are the last head boys during your time here. The hard work and dedication you have put into the school over the years is greatly appreciated by all the students, staff and parents. So on behalf of everyone, we'd like to wish you a happy and much less noisy retirement. now we're nearing the end, our final year, people often say to us how great it would be to go back to year 7 and do it all again. But now Mr. Kearney's head of year 7, I'm rather not. Now boys, I hope we didn't keep you for too long, and I hope we made enough jokes about the staff. So I'd again like to congratulate all the boys and tell them to keep working hard. Thank you.
Another turning point, a fork stuck in the road. Time grabs you by the wrist, directs you where to go. So make the best of this test and don't ask why. It's not a question but a lesson learned in time. It's something unpredictable, but in the end it's right. I hope you had the time of your life. So take the photographs and still frames in your mind and hang it on a shelf in good health and good time. Tattoos and memories and dead skin on trial. For what it's worth, and it's worth all the while. It's something unpredictable, but in the end it's right. I hope you had the time of your life. It's something unpredictable, but in the end it's right. I hope you had the time of your life. It's something unpredictable, but in the end it's right. I hope you had the time of your life.
Ha ha ha.